Aaron, Casey, our other producer, and Mackenzie, our first AD, they had to hide behind the central little podium because that was the only place where they were in the sight line. And so they're hiding with the monitor, and we have a picture of them, and they're grinning like idiots because they finally got the last kiss. Like, yeah, we got it. It was incredible.
It was a fun day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole like meet cute set, like I mean, I'm thinking, wow, like the production design was just like all of it was so beautifully done and just really thought out. I really appreciated that.
So that meet cute set, it's a volume, so what they shoot The Mandalorian on, but those backgrounds were actually hand animated by our production designer's husband.
Yeah. Keep it on the family.
Yeah.
And they had their baby, their 6-month-old baby. So everyone's a family.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna have Kendall explain what a meet cute is in case people don't know, because you know, it's kind of a term that's only sort of risen into pop culture, you know, in the last couple years. So, you know, if you could just give a brief explanation as to what a meet cute is.
A meet cute in terms of film is when your two main characters essentially meet, but it's usually you know, whether you bump into each other at a coffee shop or you hit their car or you're kind of thrown into this existence with somebody else. And it usually changes. I know we don't like saying these characters change, but it usually changes your life for hopefully the better.
Terence, I would love to know, considering that you were also, this is also your feature film debut as an actor and a screenwriter and an executive producer. I mean, you know, you got all the hats on.
Yeah.
I would love for you to first talk about what it is that you really admire about Jason.
What I admire about Jason is how much he loves the people that he loves, right? Like he always tries to be good to those people no matter what, even at his own expense, you know? And I think we all need a Jason in our lives who supports us no matter what, right? Even in his conflicts, like he never wants anything but the best for the people that he's with. And that I wish I could be more like Jason in that way.
Kendall, I'm going to ask the same of you with Nora. I found her very layered and very complex, and you played her with such softness with your like the softness to your face. Like she said so much without saying much. But what did you admire about playing her?
I admire Nora so much because she starts out kind of being someone who doesn't want to be in the spotlight, someone who's checking the boxes in her life and trying to find the right man and the right job and what we're all imagining for our lives, right? And then she meets Jason and Jason is the opposite of what she wants on paper. He's a little bit chaotic to her. And at first she resists that, but once she gives into it, she finds herself a little bit more. She realizes that, hey, wait, I'm more interesting than this. And hey, wait, I can stand up for myself. And I love that. It's not about finding the right person. It's about finding yourself in the end. And that's the real love story of Nora.
In your explanation of Jason, I saw a lot of myself in him. And I mean, obviously there's the Asian references and like so many things that he talks about, you know, being an Asian in entertainment and whatnot. And, you know, but also like Jeremy Lin, like what Jeremy Lin meant to him. And I'm sure what Jeremy Lin means to Terence, right? Like it was kind of like, oh God, it was kind of looking like at it my own reflection in terms of, you know, who he is and how he loves. And I really, really loved that aspect of the storyline with his family, you know. Can you talk about, you know, the scene with your parents, your girlfriend, and your sister? I love the energy of that, you know, and coming together and working with those actors because it was really, really sweet to see.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think a lot of kind of Asians in media is very centered around family trauma and stuff like that. And I don't think that's every family, you know, it's not every Asian family. And I wanted to capture, hey, like sometimes they're just having dinner over Chinese New Year, having a good time. And you have most meaningful conversations you have with your family are the meaningless ones, right? It's the stuff that you just are joking around your day, and the way that you're like, his parents joke about his career. You know what I mean? Like I love that. You know, that is the most Asian thing in the world, right? But I think there's also there's a universality to it, right?
Yeah.
Like this is what every family does. And the fact that they just happen to be Asian, I think, is very, very nice, because it's like, oh, right, this is what my family feels like too, right? And I think the more people that can approach that, the more kind of understanding there is in the world.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I can, from the movies that I've watched recently in terms of like all Asian casts, you know, the theme is generational trauma. It's a great, you know, it's a great theme to work on, but to see a loving, happy family dynamic within the Asian culture where there isn't like snippy conversations going on and, you know, it's lighthearted and fun. That was very delightful to see. So congratulations. I mean, thank you for that.
Mama Lynn throws some light shade at Chloe, you know what I mean? But like in the way that all moms do. Yeah. And yeah. It was yeah, and Miwa and David, who portray my parents,
Amazing.
So good.
incredible. Like when they came to set, like, and once they found the costume, like, oh boy, like we're in for it today. You know what I mean? They're just
My
fantastic.
favorite days were with them.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm saying I love those scenes, especially the debate about what makes a rom-com, because I remember initially the family wasn't in the script and I gave it to someone and there was a one-off line. My parents learned English watching rom-coms and he was like, I want to see that because it's such like an interesting dynamic with his family.
I wanted to know off the top of your head, and I'm a big fan of rom-coms, like huge fan of rom-coms, right? I'm in good company. But off the top of your head, Karen, do you know how many rom-coms are actually referenced in the film? And can you, I mean, I recognize many of them, but could you please name a few?
Yeah, I made a letterbox list with everything, but there's 27 Easter eggs to different rom-coms, whether it's in the costumes of the other couples, in the ad campaign, to the collages that the director makes.
My favorite is the Sex and the City reference with that purse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
references like I love Taylor Swift, and so when we were writing the opening, I was like, it has to start with "Welcome to New York."
I mean, I recognized Roman Holiday. I recognized Singing in the Rain, which is my very first rom-com that I ever watched. You know, like my dad loved movies and whatnot, but like, you know,
it is.
Yeah,
so
Singing in the Rain.
Grand Central Station is up there with New York iconography. So I can only imagine what that process was to being able to shoot inside, you know, and it being your, you know, first feature film for two of you. You know, what did it mean for all of you to be able to, you know, be able to film your movie there?
That was actually the only scene that survived from the first draft to the final draft. Everything else pretty much changed, but that was, in my mind, kind of the central revolution, and because that's really a huge turning point in film. You know what I mean? And I still remember getting the quote back, and we're like, write that check to the MTA right now. And then, you know, we were going through camera rehearsals, and we end up at the top of that kind of little balcony, and a small crowd had gathered because they're like, well, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Because they hadn't shut it down for us yet. So it was that moment. I was like, wow, like, how did we pull this off? And then we had to go right back into it because our time was ticking. You know what I mean?
I was overwhelmed. Like we were filming two of our most important scenes in 8 hours, but we got it done. We had such an incredible team, and my DP and I watched a lot of films that have shot in Grand Central, and I think that we have unique shots that no one has ever done before, like with the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah. Shooting in Grand Central meant so much to me. I mean, I learned so much about the architecture through the script, but Also, I mean, people don't realize that the last scene, one of the last scenes in the film that was filmed in Grand Central, we had less than an hour to shoot that.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, they were like, oh, your time's up in an hour. And we're like, okay, let's get it.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we maybe spent a lot of time on which rightfully so, because that's a longer scene than the first scene that we shot in Grand Central. But then we had to go straight to the end of the film and shoot that one. And we had such limited time.
oh my gosh.
But we got it. It was magical.
My favorite thing was that Aaron, Casey, our other producer, and Mackenzie, our first AD, they had to hide behind the central little podium because that was the only place where they were in the sight line. And so they're hiding with the monitor, and we have a picture of them, and they're grinning like idiots because they finally got the last kiss. Like, yeah, we got it. It was incredible.
It was a fun day.
Yeah.